Sometimes we don't realize that our paths are always unique and different from everyone else. And as far as I can remember, challenging yourself really expands your growth. When I started podcasting, I started isolating myself from everyone because I was going through so much. And I didn't know where to start. And so I just turned to myself and just started encouraging myself on the path to healing, finding peace, joy, and confidence. See, building confidence is simple. It's just setting a goal and believing that you can achieve it. And then one day after another, you keep going, keep pushing through, and no matter how hard it might seem. I know as I got older, I didn't want to end up 30, 40 years down the line looking back and thinking, wow, I was really scared. And so I let fear get in the way of my dreams and my aspirations. I let fear of looking stupid hold me back. And so I realized that the only thing that is important is how you see yourself. How you see yourself is you're telling yourself that you're strong, you're determined, you're disciplined. See, the most important thing is your perception of you. And so if you allow fear of what others might think of you, those are the thoughts. Those are real facts. Don't let your mind trick you into thinking that those fears are the truth. Sometimes the only thing that is holding us back is ourselves. That's why it's so important not to compare yourself to anyone else because everyone is on their own unique journey. One thing I love about myself is I feel unique because I tell myself I am unique. And I make my podcasts and sometimes I feel like it's corny, but I don't care. Even if I don't inspire anyone, I inspired myself by doing something that was challenging to me. I feel like I am personally walking in my divine purpose. This is what I feel like I've been called to do. And it brings me fulfillment. Most people don't really like themselves. You know this by your interaction with them, and you can tell because they tell on themselves, they verbalize their insecurities and weaknesses, or they tell you about everything that they can't do or that's going wrong with their lives. See, sometimes they do that just for the sake of trying to seem modest, but truth is, we all have strengths, we all have weaknesses. We just need to focus on becoming a better person, not a perfect person. Not talking about our problems, but really talking about the solutions to our problems. Are you going to stay stuck or are you going to rise above and talk about how you overcame? See, that's for me is true inspiration. See, misery loves company, but you don't need to let other people's negative self image rub off on you. Just because someone else's life is hard doesn't mean you have to agree with them. Just because someone else says that their hope is romantic doesn't mean that you are too. Don't curse yourself with your own words. Bless yourself with your words. Life is good. And I believe it's getting better. I have everything I need, and I believe everything I want is on its way to me. And I'm working on myself. I know someone amazing is heading in my direction. The right person is on their way right now to me. Think of things that you do want and less of the things that you don't want. Have a growth mindset, not a fixed mindset. I always tell myself that I want a real connection. I want real connections around me, people who inspire me, who hold me accountable, that their energy is so infectious that I push myself to want to become a better person, not just less smoke. But let's smoke and make music. Let's smoke and make a podcast. Let's smoke and cook something healthy, create memorable moments. People are going to do whatever they want, obviously, but do it with the intent of doing something good out of it. That's a real vibe. You don't have to be perfect, just be real. People will admire you more when you walk in your truth, when you're being your authentic self. You only got one life to live. Don't fall into the trap of always being down on yourself. Do something that inspires you, that lifts you up, that gives your energy a boost. If you're feeling down, find things that lift you up and make you feel better about yourself. Even if you have the money or resources, surround yourself around people that have the things that you want, the motivation, the determination, the drive to want to do things, a growth mindset. Remember, you are a sum of the five people you spend the most of your time with. And if all they're doing is just being on their phone, smoking, drinking, going out every weekend, then maybe you need some new friends. One day I was feeling so down on myself. And so I just went for a walk and I didn't want to run. So I was like, I'm going to walk. And so uh, I got back and I still felt like a cloud was over me. So I was like, okay, I'm going to read my book. And so I started reading my book and I still was feeling sad. And so I took a nap, I meditated. And then when I woke up, I realized that, wait, I don't always have to be doing anything. Like, why am I pushing myself to be doing stuff? And so that was the thing. I just needed to rest. Like, I need to give my mind a break. And I realized I don't always have to be doing something, but I need time to give my brain a break so I can get mental clarity on what's to do next. When it comes to realization, it's okay with, being okay with just being okay. That's why I feel like it's so good to take a break from our phones and social media because it's either inspire you to grow and do things or it's just intensifying your insecurities. I think about my spiritual path and it was unique because I was going to church for a while and then I realized like I don't really want to go to church anymore. I just felt like it wasn't for me. I wasn't really connecting. I was feel like I was doing it because it was something that I was taught, from my family. And as I grew older, I learned that okay, why not become the church? Form your own God. And what I mean by that is just making personal growth and self development my primary focus in life, my spiritual walk, learning when to let go, listen to my intuition, and learning to just let that be my guide, practicing daily habits that contribute to my well being.